There is a body of knowledge so dangerous, so radical, that for centuries it has been buried under layers of dogma, burned at the stake, erased from entire libraries. I'm not talking about black magic or obscure rituals. I'm talking about a philosophical idea that, if understood, collapses the entire edifice of reality as you know it. This idea has a name: the monad. In the 3rd century AD, a philosopher named Plotinus looked to the sky and perceived something that would change the course of Western thought forever. He saw that everything we call God, that concept the church has sold for millennia as an old man with a white beard sitting on a throne, was merely a shadow, a comforting illusion, a necessary lie to keep the flock under control. Plotinus called the true source of everything the One. The Gnostics called it a plenitude. Leibniz, 1500 years later, revived this idea and named it MONAD, the indivisible substance that sustains all of reality. But here's the problem. This philosophy didn't fit into the church's plans. Because if you understand the monad, you understand that you don't need intermediaries. You don't need priests, confessionals, or institutional forgiveness. You become your own portal to the absolute. And this is dangerous. Throughout this video, we'll delve into the depths of Neoplatonic thought and discover why the monad was systematically suppressed. We'll decipher what Plotinus, Leibniz, and the Gnostics really knew about the nature of reality. And most importantly, we'll understand how this ancient philosophy can give you a power that no organized religion ever wanted you to have: the power to see through the matrix. Get ready, because after this video, you will never see God, reality, or yourself in the same way again. The One is not a personal God. Plotinus was clear. The One does not think, does not feel, does not judge. It simply is. It is not a being you can plead with, flatter, or negotiate with. It is the absolute principle that is beyond existence and non-existence. Think of it this way. Everything you know, trees, people, emotions, thoughts, are differentiations. They are things. But the One precedes the very idea of thing. It has no form because form would already be a limitation. It has no will because will implies desire, and desire implies lack. The One is pure infinite potential. It is the ocean from which all waves emerge. In 250 AD, in Rome, Plotinus taught this philosophy in closed circles. His students included senators, aristocrats, people at the center of power. And they all arrived at the same frightening conclusion. If the One is impersonal, then all prayers, all sacrifices, the entire religious structure of Rome was theater, a performance for the masses. But Plotinus was not naive. He knew that the people needed symbols, stories, anthropomorphic gods. The problem was not popular religion. The problem was confusing symbol with reality. Today, we do the same thing. We create idols, money, status, social approval, and we treat these idols as if they were the ultimate reality. But just as the Christian God is only a symbol of the One, his goals, his ambitions, his fears, all of that is merely emanations of something much deeper within you. Practice 1. Every time you find yourself praying, meditating, or searching for something out there, stop. Ask yourself, am I seeking the symbol or the reality?
True connection with the One doesn't come from rituals. It comes from inner silence. To empty your mind until nothing remains, neither you nor God, only the One. Practice 2. Notice how you project personality onto everything. You treat the universe as if it owed you something. You treat life as if it were a judge. That's cosmic anthropomorphism. The universe is neither against you nor for you. It simply happens. And when you stop fighting against it, you find a peace that no religion can offer.
Reality is a fall. According to Plotinus, everything that exists in the material world is the result of an emanation, a progressive descent from the one to increasingly dense levels of reality. And the further away from the one, the more fragmented, the heavier, the more suffering being becomes. The Gnostics took this even further. They called the material world a prison, created by a false god called Demiurge. Imagine the One as pure light. The first emanation is the nous, the divine mind, the realm of pure ideas, what Plato called the world of forms. Still luminous, but already separate. The second emanation is the soul of the world, the principle that animates everything, that organizes chaos, that gives life. And the third one? It's the matter, the lowest level, the densest, the furthest from the source. Here, the light of the One is so faint it can barely be perceived. That's why you feel lost. Because you are. If this content is making sense to you, click the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. In the Gnostic myth, Sophia, divine wisdom, makes a mistake. She attempts to create without the permission of the One. And from this mistake is born the Demiurge, an inferior, arrogant god who gazes into the void and says, "I am the only God." He creates the material world and imprisons sparks of divine light, us, within bodies of flesh. This is not a literal story. It is a metaphor, a brutal take on the human condition. You are a fragment of divine light trapped in a body that ages, gets sick, and dies, and the whole world conspires to make you forget where you came from. We live in a culture that glorifies material things, perfect bodies, expensive cars, luxury homes. But the more you invest in material things, the more trapped you become. Because material things are, by definition, limited. It decays. It ends. The Stoics understood this. Seneca said, "The body is a chain for the soul." Not because the body is bad, but because if you identify with it, just with him, you condemn yourself to suffering. Practice 1. Try this exercise. Look at your hands. Now, ask yourself, who is looking? It's not your hands that are looking. It's not your brain. It's something else, anterior to the body, something that inhabits the body. The Neoplatonists called this nous individual, the fragment of the divine within you. The more you identify with this observer, the less power matter has over you. Practice 2. Reduce your dependence on the material world. I'm not talking about becoming a monk. I'm talking about testing yourself. Can you go a day without external validation, without social media, without buying anything? If you can't, it's because your soul is addicted to the material world. And any addiction is a prison. The way back is through henosis. Plotinus called it henosis, the mystical union with the One. It is not a concept. It is not a theory. It is an experience. And according to him,
It's the only thing worth living for in this life. Kenosis is not achieved through effort. It is achieved through dissolution. You don't ascend to the One. You peel back the layers of illusion until you realize you were never separate. It's like an actor who has forgotten he's acting. He identifies so much with the character that he believes to be the character. Kenosis is the moment when he remembers, I'm the actor. The play is just a play. Porphyry, Plotinus' disciple, recorded that the master achieved kenosis 4 times in his life. He described it as a complete dissolution of the ego, a moment when the boundary between I and everything disappeared. There was no more Plotinus. There was no more world. There was only being. But Plotinus didn't stay there. He returned, because he knew that his mission was not to escape the world, but to teach the way back. Today, we try to achieve kenosis with psychedelic drugs, with intensive meditation, with spiritual retreats. And some people do get glimpses. But the problem is that they treat it as an event, as something that happens and passes. Plotinus said that the goal is not to have a mystical experience, it is to live from there. Practice 1. Apophatic meditation. Sit in silence. Don't try to achieve anything. Don't visualize anything. Don't repeat mantras. Just be. Every time a thought arises, watch it disappear. The goal is not to empty your mind. It's to realize that you are the space where thoughts occur. Practice 2. Death of the ego. Choose an identity you value. I am intelligent. I am successful. I am attractive. Now imagine it disappears. Who are you without it? This exercise is brutal, but necessary, because as long as you cling to identities, you will never be free.
The church buried it for a reason. In the 4th century, Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire. And one of the first things the church did was declare war on the Neoplatonists and Gnostics. Not because these philosophies were false, but because they were dangerous to institutional power. The church needed intermediaries. It needed you to believe that salvation was only possible through sacraments, through confessions, through a hierarchical structure that placed bishops and popes between you and God. But Neoplatonism said, you don't need anyone. The One is within you. The path is direct. This is not just a theological threat, it is a political threat. Because if people realize they don't need the church loses all its power. In 391 AD, a Christian mob, incited by Patriarch Theophilus, stormed the Library of Alexandria. They destroyed Neoplatonic, Hermetic, and Gnostic texts. They burned centuries of knowledge. Why? Because these texts taught that the divine is not in temples, it is within you. The philosopher Hypatia, one of the last Neoplatonists of Alexandria, was brutally murdered by a Christian mob in 415 AD. Her crime? Teaching that reason and philosophical contemplation were paths to the divine. Today, the same dynamic continues. It's no longer priests burning books. It's algorithms shaping your reality. It's institutions selling solutions that create dependency. Endless therapy, coaching that never solves anything, packaged spirituality that keeps you consuming. Practice 1. Ask yourself, who benefits from my ignorance? If someone tells you that you need them to achieve enlightenment, wisdom, or power, be wary. True knowledge liberates. False knowledge enslaves. Practice 2. Study the original sources. Read Plotinus. Read the Enneads. Read the Gnostic texts of Nag Hammadi. Don't accept filtered interpretations. Go straight to the source, because truth never needs guardians. So far,
We've explored what the monad is, why it was hidden, and how you can begin to access it. But there's something deeper here, something that Plotinus and Leibniz knew, but that few dared to teach. It's not just about knowing the monad, it's about becoming aware that you yourself are a monad, an indivisible fragment of the One, a spark of the divine trapped in flesh. And if that's true, if you carry the essence of the Absolute within you, then what does that mean for how you live? How do you relate to power, to others, to reality itself? Now we enter the second part, the advanced laws, the territory where philosophy becomes power.
Each monad is a complete universe. Leibniz said something radical. Each monad, each conscious being, contains within itself a complete representation of the entire universe. You are not just a particle in the cosmos. You are the entire cosmos compressed into a single perspective. Leibniz called this mirroring. Each monad reflects all the others, but from a specific angle. It's as if the universe were a hologram. Each fragment contains the entire image. This means that when you look at the world, you are not seeing an objective reality out there. You are seeing your version of reality filtered through their monad. And another person's reality? It's completely different. When Leibniz proposed this in the 17th century, he was challenging all of Newtonian physics. Newton saw the universe as a machine, separate parts interacting mechanically. Leibniz saw the universe as a network of interconnected consciousnesses, each reflecting the whole. Today, quantum physics is beginning to suspect that Leibniz was right. The observer is not separate from the observed. Consciousness collapses the wave function. You are not just in the universe, you are creating it. Think about your political arguments, your relationship fights, your conflicts at work. You think you're fighting for facts or reality, but you're not. You're fighting because your monad sees the world one way, and the other monad sees it another way. Neither of you is wrong. You're simply reflecting the universe from different angles. Practice 1. Radical perspectivism. When someone disagrees with you, don't try to win. Ask, what part of the universe is this person's monad reflecting that I can't see? This isn't relativism, it's ontological humility. And it's also the quickest way to manipulate someone. Because when you understand the universe from them, you can speak the language from them. Practice 2. Conscious creation. If each monad creates its own reality, then you have more power than you imagine. Change your perception, and you change your world. Not literally, but functionally. Two individuals can be in the same place and live completely different realities. Choose which reality you want to inhabit.
Monads do not interact, they resonate. Leibniz proposed something even stranger. Monads have no windows. They don't directly influence each other. So how on earth does coordination exist in the universe? How do things seem to interact? Leibniz's reply, pre-established harmony. God, or the One, synchronized all monads from the beginning like perfectly tuned clocks. They do not communicate, they simply resonate. Imagine two violins tuned to the same note. When you play one, the other vibrates. Not because one caused the other, but because both are tuned to the same frequency. That's how monads work. When you influence someone, you're not transferring something into them, You're resonating at a frequency that awakens something that was already there. Think of great leaders: Hitler, Churchill, MLK, Steve Jobs. What did they have in common? It wasn't logical argumentation. It was resonance. They spoke at a frequency that made millions of people vibrate along with them. This is dangerous because it means that persuasion isn't about convincing. It's about finding the right frequency. And anyone who masters that becomes irresistible. Modern marketing understands this intuitively. The best campaigns don't sell products. They resonate with something already present within you: fear, desire, identity. Apple doesn't sell computers. It resonates with the monad of people who see themselves as creative, rebellious, special. Practice 1. Empathic tuning. Before trying to influence someone, tune into them. Don't pretend. Really feel. Pay attention to what they feel. Breathe in rhythm with them. Mirror their body language. You're not manipulating. You're creating resonance. And once you're on the same frequency, influence becomes almost telepathic. Practice 2. Frequency control. You are a monad. You emit a constant frequency. Fear, anxiety, despair, that's a low frequency. Confidence, calmness, purpose, high frequency. People resonate with you based on the frequency you emit. Control your frequency, and you control who is attracted to you.
True power is ontological. Most people seek power on the others, but true power, the only power that cannot be taken away, is ontological power, the power of being. Ontology is the study of being, and what the Neoplatonists discovered is that there are levels of being. A slave is less than a free man? Biologically, no, but ontologically, yes, because the slave internalized his condition. He became that. Nietzsche understood this. He called it the hierarchy of being. Some people live longer, more intense lives, more real than others. Not because they have more money or status, but because they have more being. Marcus Aurelius was the most powerful man in the world, emperor of Rome. But he wasn't defined by that. He was defined by his stoic practice, by his daily contemplation, by the constant effort to align his soul with the logos, cosmic reason. When he died, the empire continued. But Marcus Aurelius, the being, the individual, the monad, that remained. 2,000 years later, we are still reading his meditations. Today, we live obsessed with symbols of power, cars, followers, titles. But all of this is accidental. It can be taken away. Ontological power cannot. It's who you are when everything is taken away. Practice 1. Voluntary self-dispossession. Periodically, remove everything. Go to a place where nobody knows you, no money, no status, no stories. Who are you there? That is your ontological essence. The stronger it is, the less you depend on external circumstances. Practice 2. Daily practice of being. Every day, dedicate time to strengthening your monad. Philosophical reading, meditation, journaling. Not to achieve something, but to be more intensely. Plotinus said, "Do not seek to increase, but allow what is within to shine."
The monad is not just a philosophical theory. It's a map that shows you who you really are. Not a cosmic accident, not a fragile creature waiting for salvation, but an eternal fragment of the absolute, complete in itself, mirroring totality. The church hid this, not out of malice, but for self-preservation. Because a world of conscious monads doesn't need institutions to mediate the divine. But here's the scary part. With that knowledge comes responsibility. Because if you are a monad, then there's no one left to blame, no God to plead with, no fate to lament. You are the universe looking at itself. And what do you do with that? Plotinus spent hours in contemplation, seeking to dissolve into the one. Leibniz used the monad to revolutionize mathematics and logic. The Gnostics fought against the demiurge until they were erased from history. And you? You can close this video and return to the comfort of illusion. Or you can do what few have the courage to do. Look inside, find the fragment of the divine, and live as if you are what you truly are: immortal, indivisible, complete.